Okay, so I want to talk about WWE TLC last night. From what I saw the whole thing last night, and it seemed to be a very good show, very solid show put together. Hopefully, it's something that the WWE plans on doing more of going forward. Hopefully, they've heard all the complaints from the fan base on the internet, and they've because this show very much seemed to be an apology for how they ran things this year. So I'm gonna go over it, match by match. From what I can remember, first off, we had the Mixed Max Challenge finals. R-Truth and Carmella versus Jinder Mahal and Alicia Fox. Yeah, the match was what it was. R-Truth, very entertaining guy. Obviously, nowhere. He's not going to be anywhere near the main event position. But at this point in his career, he shouldn't have to be. I mean, he pops the crowd. He makes everybody cheer. He's in a good spot for where he is, and as long as Vince McMahon is alive and running the WWE, R-Truth is always going to have a job. Now, those of you who don't follow wrestling or too much anymore, Carmella had a very disastrous run as WWE SmackDown Women's Champion earlier this year. Did nobody any favors, and she was totally and completely unbelievable in that role. I mean, she was not a main event player. So right now it's good that she's in a comedy role. The whole dance break stuff and everything, that's really the best role for her. And Jinder Mahal, you may remember that he had a disastrous run as WWE Champion last year. Now he's back at the bottom of the card, which is, I mean, he's a solid worker, solid wrestler, but not a main event guy. And Alicia Fox is just, she's there because comedy. The match was what it was, and it was entertaining enough. R-Truth and Carmella win. And it had, a little amusing bit where they're like, hey, we want a vacation to Stamford, Connecticut headquarters. WWE corporate headquarters. Next match was the three-way tag title match between The Bar, The New Day, and The Usos. All three very solid teams. No matter who won, there wasn't any way like anything could go wrong. But all three very solid teams. It's good that, after all these years, they've finally found a way to use Sheamus, really correctly. He's, more solid as a tag team wrestler than he was as a single wrestler. Obviously, Sheamus didn't do too well in any of his world title reigns. And League of Nations was a bust. Cesaro is a jack of all trades. He can be a good guy. He can be a bad guy. He can be a singles wrestler. He can be a tag team wrestler. He's very good at all of them. New Day was, they were represented tonight by Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. Those who follow wrestling, obviously, the New Day always do well. Usos, very solid tag team. The Bar ends up retaining the titles. No problem with that result. Moving on. We had the Braun Strowman versus Baron Corbin match. So, if you haven't been following Raw lately, I mean, Honestly, I don't watch Raw myself. It's 3 hours, and it's cut for Hulu, so there's really no point in watching it. Just watch all the tip clips on YouTube if you really want to keep up with it. So anyway, just like Baron Corbin is just really like a mid-card guy, but he's apparently just been all over the show. Just got no charisma at all. He's been getting booed, which is that as a villain you want. But he wasn't getting booed because he's an effective villain. It's because nobody wanted to see him. It's what wrestling fans call X-Pac heat. Named, of course, after X-Pac, who was booed, but not because of his effective villain work. It was because nobody wanted to see him. So they have a thing where like Braun Strowman, his arm's broken, so it's a no disqualification match. He brings out a bunch of people, bunch of baby faces. We got Bobby Roode, Chad Gable, Finn Balor, Apollo Crews. Heath Slater's the referee, and even he joins in beating up Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin runs away. Kurt Angle makes his return. He beats up Baron Corbin, and then Braun Strowman pins him. Baron Corbin is no longer the general manager, so hopefully we'll see him less on Raw. This is the best way they could have handled it. I was worried that this was going to be the main event, but fortunately it was not. Moving on, what match was next? I want to say, okay, I'll just move on to the Ronda Rousey versus Nia Jax match. Ronda Rousey is someone who has quickly acclimated to the wrestling ring. Just very impressive for someone in their first year, even though she was a UFC fighter. Wrestling, is very different. I mean, they're similar, but still. But she's very, very entertaining to watch in the ring. Makes you believe in her matches, and it was a solid match. Nia Jax, basically, she has a reputation of being a sloppy, dangerous worker. Nia Jax, not the best, not the greatest, but Ronda Rousey, looks like she carried the match. Tamina was there on the outside. She still has a job for some reason. Ronda Rousey retains by tap out. Solid match. Moving on. Let's see, what else did we have? Finn Balor versus Drew McIntyre. I expected Drew McIntyre to get the win here. They've been pushing him pretty hard, and it's rumored that he is going to win the Universal Championship at WrestleMania. I'm assuming that he is probably going to win the Royal Rumble in January, and that would be the best choice. Finn Balor actually gets the win here after Dolph Ziggler interferes. And they set up a program later between Finn Balor and Dolph Ziggler, and Finn Balor is mad that Dolph Ziggler interfered in his business, and Dolph Ziggler is like, what? If I wasn't there, you wouldn't have won. And so they start fighting. So we'll see something, from them. Moving on, we have the WWE Championship match between AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan. two of the best wrestlers in the business, and they are in their absolute prime at this point. So this one was a classic. Get the fans out of their seats, and probably I want to say like the best match of the night, really, overall. Goes back and forth. Daniel Bryan ends up retaining with a small package. So I think it's safe to say that we're going to get more matches from these two, hopefully. It seems to be a pretty solid feud. Daniel Bryan is, he is playing a villain again, which actually Daniel Bryan is, I would say, better at playing a heel than he is a face. First became a fan of his back in 2005 when he was wrestling in ROH as the American Dragon Bryan Danielson. That's when he first did like his asshole heel character, and that was something that I really liked. I'm tripping over myself. Obviously, first YouTube video. Getting tongue-tied. Nobody's gonna watch this. But yeah. Hopefully we'll see more of these two. And it's rumored that this will go through WrestleMania, which, I hope to see. See the climax happen at WrestleMania. These two deserve it. Two of the best wrestlers in the game right now. This one was followed by Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose for the Intercontinental title. Obviously following AJ Styles and Bryan. Monumental task. Not as good as I was expecting. Solid match, I guess, but not as good as I was expecting between these two. Dean Ambrose wins the Intercontinental title. And again, if you didn't know the storyline between this feud, in real life, Roman Reigns was, his leukemia came back. And then on the same night that he announced that, Dean Ambrose turned on Seth Rollins after they won the tag titles. And in these weeks, Dean Ambrose has been claiming that the Shield made him weak, and that now he is on his own for this first time, and he is burning everything he had that had to do with the Shield. WWE Network run had a WWE Chronicle episode featuring Dean Ambrose's motivations behind his heel turn. It's interesting watch. I'd recommend it if you got some time. And now we come to the main event. Becky Lynch, Charlotte, and Asuka TLC match for the women's title. Oh, I forgot to mention Rey Mysterio versus Randy Orton. Chairs match. Solid match. Two longtime WWE veterans. Rey Mysterio wins. Okay, now towards the women's match. Again, great match. Obviously, Becky Lynch's character is very popular. Charlotte seems to be transitioning to the heel role. Asuka, as the lone pure babyface in this one. And Asuka needed the win here. Like, she was ruined. She was the loss last year at WrestleMania. This year at WrestleMania to Charlotte hurt her a bit, but what really damaged her was, losing to Carmella, which fortunately they seem to just basically retcon Carmella's championship reign, which, yeah, it was disastrous. Probably up for Wrestle Crap Gooker Award this year. But Asuka needed the win here to, make her credible again. She deserved it. Glad to see it. And she won the title after Ronda Rousey interfered and pushed Becky Lynch and Charlotte off the ladder, which sets up programs with a Ronda Becky feud and a Ronda Charlotte feud. Becky most likely is going to transition to Raw. I think Becky is going to win the Royal Rumble, and she'll end up choosing Ronda to challenge for the women's title at WrestleMania, and most likely, I think that will be the main event of WrestleMania. It's the first time ever match, and people want to see it, and it's going to be pretty awesome. I think Ronda and Charlotte are going to have a program in there. Probably they'll have a match at the Royal Rumble or one of the other pay-per-views before WrestleMania. I think Charlotte is going to remain on SmackDown probably to feud with Asuka, and hopefully Charlotte will eventually turn heel. She's a Flair. Flairs are heels. Flairs are villains. There's no way around it. Anyway, solid show. Hopefully WWE does more of these in the future. There's more of these in the future. And yeah, they listen more to fans' complaints going forward. So we got to have the Royal Rumble coming up next month. Braun Strowman has a Universal title shot against Brock Lesnar. Hopefully, Braun Strowman wins the Universal title, and we can close the book on the Brock Lesnar Universal title thing. Calling Drew McIntyre to win the Men's Royal Rumble and Becky Lynch to win the Women's Royal Rumble. That way we have Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania. All this sounded better in my head. Anyway, my first YouTube video. Like, comment, subscribe, whatever. All right, bye.